live. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 wicked worries that are working actively right now against your wealth. If you're ready for this one, literally throw in the words ready so we know that you are ready to go. Before we even go deeper, let's do what we usually do. Let's start the session by asking you, where are you joining us from? Are you in the UK? Are you in the US of A? Are you in Australasia? Are you in Asia? Or are you in Mother Africa? Or are you actually joining us from somewhere in the Caribbean? Or are you in one of the sides of the Korean? Let us know inside of the chat at that. Where are you joining us from in today's live? Because today we're going to be talking about the 5 wicked worries that work against your wealth. And specifically, I'm going to be uncovering the invisible fears that literally quietly sabotage your financial future. And this is the interesting thing, because they quietly do this, because they invisibly do this, this is why so many people have them working on them. And the funny thing that's even more profound about this is each of these fears, these wicked worries, literally do this even when you know exactly what you're supposed to do. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you've known what you're supposed to do, but for some reason, what you're supposed to do still hasn't come through. So if you're joining me, throw in the chat where you're joining me at that so I can welcome you into today's session as we go further faster into today's session. Now, let me start by sharing with you what you're going to be taking away from today's session, because today's session is hopefully going to be enlightening and empowering as well as equipping for you to move further faster in your future. Now, the first thing you're going to discover in today's session is why so many people struggle to literally build their wealth with other people, okay? I think sometimes we already know within inside of our soul that we could do so much more with collaboration, but instead we operate with hesitation. Today, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about why so many people struggle to literally build with others, even when they know collaboration could accelerate and super speed their growth or their success. That's the first thing we're going to be unpacking. We're then going to jump into the 5 specific wealth worries. These 5 wicked worries that silently infiltrate your financial decisions. Why are decisions being made based on these 5 specific worries? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's session. We're then going to go on to talk about how to unlock the additional cash flow without literally relying on the pay rise or the second job to come through and allow you to go further faster in your future. And then last but not least, we're going to be talking about the single biggest identity shift that's going to allow you to allow your wealth to start to come through. This is going to be the identity shift that allows wealth to flow through in ways that it has never flown through before. It's going to allow you to have a spirit of cooperation instead of a spirit of isolation. So if that sounds good to you, just throw in the chat the word ready. If that sounds good to you, throw in the chat the word ready. We're going to be breaking down some frameworks in today's session. We're going to be uncovering, unpacking a whole bunch of stuff. So if you are ready, feel free to throw in the chat the word ready. Let me go and make sure that we've got everything plugged in, plugged on before we jump in and jump on and we start going 100 miles per hour in today's session. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. And for those of you who are jumping in, don't be shy. You know what to do. Throw the word hi inside of the chat. Good day, God bless, stay blessed. All right, let me know that you're inside of the house. I see ready's coming through the chat. Okay, the chat wasn't coming through at that moment. I see it, I see it. Tasha in the house. Tasha says ready. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, Tasha, welcome to the live. Apologies, I didn't see you already a moment ago, and I see her blowing up the likes, or someone's blowing up the likes as well. All right, so guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button. Before I forget, let me say it right now so that we can make sure we get everything set before I forget. All right, if you haven't already, if at any point throughout this live you get value, you know what to do. Literally hit the like button. Side by side with that, if you hear something that stands out to you, you don't need to keep it in here. You can abundantly share by pressing the button that says share and allowing the people out there to know that you care. So feel free to use that button that says share. That's another way that you can literally allow the platform, whatever platform you're on, to know that this is the kind of content that allows people to grow. So if that sounds good to you, throw the word good in the chat so I know that it is good to you too. All right. Side by side with that, if you are on the red platform, feel free to hit the button that says subscribe. That will allow you to become a part of our tribe. If you are in the black platform, feel free to follow the host. That way, out of this content, you will get the most. If you're in the blue platform, it's okay to become my friend, and we can start to trend with this information even in your ends. And side by side with that, if you're on the purple and orange platform, then you can do whatever they do over there. I don't even know what they do over there. That's a platform I'm still trying to learn how to care. Now, with that being said, those of you who are with me, just write I am in the chat, just write I am in the chat, just write I am in the chat, and we're going to jump straight in to today's session. First question I've got for you. Have you ever noticed how some people would rather struggle on their own than succeed with other people? If you've noticed that, just throw in the chat the words I have, okay? You can literally run the poll. Someone can throw in the chat the word yes if they've noticed that. You can throw in the chat the word no if you've noticed that. It's up to you if you've noticed that. Let me know in the chat. Have you ever noticed that some people would prefer to struggle on their own rather than actually collaborate with other people and succeed? If you've ever noticed that, let me know inside of the chat, because I hope I'm not the only person who's ever noticed that there's people out there that do that. I hope I'm not the only person out there who's ever noticed that there's so many people that are stunting on their own growth, delaying their own success, because they'd rather struggle on their own than literally go to bat with someone else at their home, okay? I want you to think about this, because most people don't realize how detrimental some of the decisions they are making can be to their success. Some people haven't sat down for a moment and said to themselves, let me evaluate why it is that I actually hate the process which is called collaborate. This is something so fundamental to growth, so fundamental to success, so fundamental to achieving what you can achieve, which goes past your ability to believe. Have you ever noticed that? Now, the reason I'm starting with this question is because I want you to think about a few things that come to my mind. I think about some of the wealthiest people in the world, and I ask myself a simple question, okay? Could they have achieved it on their own? Okay, this is a question you should think about for yourself. Whoever is the wealthiest person that comes to your mind, feel free to throw their name in the chat, right? As you think about the wealthiest person that comes to your mind, recently we spoke about how Elon Musk literally launched SpaceX. And through means of his public offering of SpaceX, he became a trillionaire, okay? I want you to think about this. Does a trillionaire become a trillionaire on their own? Okay, here's the first thing. How could that happen if nobody invested in the stock? Second thing, how could that have happened if nobody worked for the company? Third thing, how could that happen if a mama and a papa didn't start clapping for someone like Elon Musk to show up here and start rapping? I want you to think about the fact that it takes two, baby. That's what the words of the song said, right? There is nothing significant that can be achieved on your own, but yet there are some people who desire to struggle alone, okay? Here's a better question. Why? Why is it that people who have got to a place and recognize in themselves that they're gonna struggle on their own make that decision rather than deciding to work with other people? Why is that? Why is that? Okay? I'm going to tell you why. Most people do this not because they have a money problem. Someone write in the chat the word money. Money's not the reason. Most people don't desire to struggle on their own because they have a money problem. It's not the money. So let's break down 3 things which become catalyst causes of why people desire to work on their own rather than collaborate with people and produce results in the zone, okay? The first one is they have a trust problem. Someone write in your notes, trust. That's the first one. They have a trust problem, okay? The second one is they often have a pride problem. And we're going to break down, unpack, and literally decode all of these in this life. The first one is oftentimes they have a trust problem. The second one is oftentimes they have a pride problem. And the third one is really what we're going to unpack in today's life. They very often have what we call a fear problem, okay? I want you to think about this. It's not because of a money problem. It's because of a trust problem. It's not because of a money problem. It's because of a fear problem. It's not because of a money problem. And when we start to get to that place where we start to understand how it works and we start to realize, hold on a minute, it's not the money that's stopping people from collaborating. It's the fear. It's the pride. It's the trust. Guess what happens? Everything starts to change for us. So tonight, we're going to be opening up the 5 invisible, wicked worries that quietly work against your wealth. So you can start to see for the first time, oh, wow, it's because of this that I wasn't able to unlock that door. It's because of this. Oh, we got a new sound today. We're going to be using this sound today. Let's go. It's because of this that I wasn't able to put the key into that door. I want you to understand how things work. If you can recognize the 5 fears that are attempting to slow you down from your wealth creation, from your transformation, you will no longer live with procrastination and hesitation. If you're able to get to a place where you can start to see clearly for the first time what's actually in front of you, the abundance, the wealth, the opportunity, guess what? Everything will change for you. Oh, I wasn't even planning to talk about this, but this is coming to mind. You see, if you study the Bible, in the book of Genesis, there's a story of a lady. Her name is Hagar. Hagar is the handmaid of a man named Abraham. She's actually literally, technically, the handmaid of his wife named Sarah. And they decide that Hagar's gonna have a baby. I think it was Tupac who said, Brenda's got a baby. Well, Hagar ended up having a baby. Someone write in the chat the word, baby. And here's what's so interesting. Hagar has this baby. Then the relationship between Hagar and Sarah gets crazy. And then Hagar decides to leave the home with her baby, with Ishmael. And as she leaves the home, she runs out of water. And as she runs out of water, she says her and her baby are about to die. I don't know if anyone's ever felt in that tragic kind of tumultuous situation where they feel like, you know what, it's over. They're about to die. And something powerful happens. Hagar goes and hides her son Ishmael under a bush. And she goes, the Bible says, a stone's throw. She goes an arrow shot away from the baby. She goes far enough away so she don't have to hear him crying because she believes he's going to start dying. And as she starts crying and screaming and lamenting, the Bible says an angel shows up and says to her, what's the problem, Hagar? You see, it's so interesting how sometimes our problems are exponential in our mind, but they're a question in the mind of God. What's the problem? What's up? Why are you stressing? Why are you stressing? The angel says unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Which basically means, what's the problem? What's up? And then the angel says something so profound, which if we really take heed to, our lives will change. The angel doesn't say, I heard you screaming. The angel doesn't say, I heard you crying. The angel said, I heard the prayer of the lad. I heard the boy praying. You see, this young boy's praying whilst his mum's out here crying. This young boy is speaking to God while this woman, this covering, this responsible adult is screaming her head off. And the angel doesn't say to her, I heard you crying. The angel doesn't say to her, I heard you screaming. The angel doesn't say to her, I heard you lamenting. The angel says the opposite. He said, I heard the boy praying. So there ends up having some conversation between the angel and Hagar. And in the end, the Bible says something profound. It doesn't say, and the angel brought her water. It doesn't say, and God opened up the heavens and water poured out. Because that's what some of us are looking for. And guys, look, if there's anyone who's going to be super transparent today and say, you know what, Samuel, I'll put my hands up. I've been in that position before where I've been waiting for the heavens to crack open and my bills to get paid. Or I've been waiting for someone to knock on my door and give me the check. If there's anyone who's going to be honest, you can just write in the comments, that's me. You could just hit the like button if you want to be inconspicuous. Guys, I want you to see how this works, right? Let me tell you what the Bible said. If you want to know what the Bible said, just write in the chat the word Bible, okay? I'll tell you what the Bible said. Not what Samuel I Can Win said. What the Bible said. Let me tell you what the Bible said. The Bible said, And the angel opened her eyes. You see, I remember reading this, and this verse literally changing my life. I see those lights coming in. This verse literally changed my life. I read this and I was like, what? So are you telling me when I can be crying, when I can be screaming, when I can be feeling like I'm going through a nightmare when I thought I was supposed to be dreaming, the actual resource revenues and results I need can be right in front of me? And in good old Jim Rohn fashion, I've got to answer the question. The answer is, of course. You see, so many times we are looking for something that we presume is far from us, instead of realizing that the star has already come to us. So many times we're looking for results to be somewhere afar off. We want someone to show up and bring those results to us, instead of realizing the results are already in our midst. The results are already right in front of us. The Bible said that Hagar's eyes were open and she saw a well full of water. What would happen in your life if you allowed your eyes to be opened? Someone tell me in the chat. Okay, just let's keep it real. What would happen in your life if you allowed your eyes to be open? What would happen if everything you are thinking is far away from you actually started to reveal that it's right in front of you? Because tonight, as we're going to be exposing these 5 invisible worries that are quietly working against your wealth, what's going to happen for some of us is we're going to start to realize that the stuff we were waiting on was right in front of us. Someone write in the chat, right in front of me. Some of us are going to realize, hold on a minute, Samuel, are you telling me that this opportunity was right in front of me? Hello, somebody. Someone is going to get the breakthrough today. Let me tell you a quick story, give you the real about this. Imagine there's 2 equally talented investors. Let's even do this. This is going to be even more helpful for you guys. Let's see if we can get this up and running like this. This is going to be even more helpful, okay? If someone's ready for the story, just throw in the chat the word story. Let me see if you guys are ready for the story. If you are, throw in the chat the word story, okay? I want to show you guys this. I want you guys to see this in 3D so we can do this together, okay? Let's see if we got this going, all right? Boom, all right? We got this going, all right? I want you to imagine 2, let's make it male and female, right? 2 equally talented investors, okay? 2 equally talented investors, okay? One's a female, just for the sake of diversity, and one is a male. Okay, 2 equally talented investors. 2 investors who could both make it happen. 2 investors that are both attempting to move forward with their finances. Okay, I'm seeing that the board's not coming up yet. All right, guys, we're going to get this up. Let's go. As I often say, chaos tries to follow creation. So you can see right here, the board is attempting to play around, but it's okay. What would you expect when we're sharing value today? Okay, if anyone has already got some value from the live, just write in the chat the word value. Let me know if there's value already being distributed in this live thus far. You guys let me know, okay? Because it's about you. This is about you, okay? I can do what I do, but I need to know from you whether this is valuable for you, all right? Let's go. All right, let's go, let's go, let's go. Just feel free to throw the letter V in the chat. Feel free to write the word value in the chat if you've got any value from that so far. Let's go, okay? All right, board's up and running now. Let's go, let's go. Good stuff. Okay, cool. Should be there. Let's see if we're going to get it. All right, just trying to make sure everything's connected, guys. Want to make sure the session's perfected, guys. All right, just to make sure we can give you everything you need in order to succeed. Let's go. All right, for some reason, the board still doesn't want to connect fully. I don't know why it's doing this. Might be because I had a coaching session earlier and I used the vibe. Who knows, who knows? But let's grow, let's grow. Okay, let's reconnect one more time and see if this is going to work. I'm going to make sure I give you guys the best experience on this session. Okay, if anyone's getting value so far, throw the word value in the chat. You guys don't have to hide. For those of you in the back, you don't have to hide. You don't have to hide in the back and act like you ain't in the session. We know you're there. Let's go. All right. All right. So let's jump back into this. Let's see if we can get this up and running. There we go. Boom, boom. All right, good. We good. Yes, we are good. All right. So here's a quick story for you guys to see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. I want you to imagine two investors. Okay. Let's even give them names. Let's call one A, Albert. Okay. Investor one, Albert. And investor two, we spoke about Brenda earlier, so we'll call her Brenda. Okay. Albert and Brenda. Two equally skilled investors. Okay, I see the hearts. You guys, Samuel's working now. I like it. Let's go. All right. Kehomi, thank you for liking the live. All right. And Kehomi, I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I did, just write yes in the chat. All right. So here's the story. Imagine you've got these two equally talented investors. One of them's Albert, the other one's Brenda. Okay. Now, here's what happens. Albert decides that he's going to do everything on his Jack Jones, which means alone. Thank you, Kiyomi. I appreciate you. Okay. He's going to do it alone. Maybe because his name starts with A for Albert, he says, I'm going to do this alone. That's Albert, right? But Brenda says, I'm not going to do this alone. Brenda decides to build relationships and partnerships. Relationships and partnerships. Okay? Here's my question. 5 years later, they are going to end up in completely different places. And here's what we can all recognize. The difference wasn't intelligence. Someone told me if I'm correct. If I'm correct, just write yes in the chat. If I'm not correct, you can write no in the chat. Let me know. Albert and Brenda, equally talented investors, equally talented influencers, equally talented content creators, equally talented business majors. Go to bat. Brenda says she's going to get partnerships. She's going to get relationships. She's going to develop relationships and partnerships. Albert says, I'm going to do this thing all on my own. Guess what's going to happen 5 years later? They are going to end up in radically, completely different places. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the difference was not intelligence. Let me tell you what the difference was. It was mindset. The difference was mindset. The difference was mindset. Let me ask this question. When you hear the phrase working with others, what's the first emotion that comes to your mind? I want you to throw that in the chat. When you hear the phrase working with others, tell me in the comments, what's the first emotion that comes to your mind? Because many of us haven't realized that the barrier and the block to the success is the emotion that we suppress when we are thinking about working with other people. So the thought of working with someone else comes to your mind, and guess what happens? You have this emotion, you push the emotion down, but you don't realize that emotion is determining what you're thinking. That emotion is determining your decision. That emotion is determining how you maneuver. That emotion is determining what you're going to be able to uncover. You see, the thing that's so powerful for me, and I'm even going to connect it to the earlier story. When I spoke to you guys about the story of Hagar, let me tell you something powerful about Hagar's story. After her eyes are opened, the key to her success was not her. The key to her success was her collaboration with her son. The Bible literally tells you that in the book of Genesis. Firstly, the angel said, I heard the lad praying. That's the first key. But the second key, the Bible then says, take the lad and go back home. I've taught on this extensively before. And what I was basically sharing when I've taught on this previously is that the lad, the boy, her son was her receipt for her wealth. And some of us don't realize what our receipt is for ourselves. Some of us are so anti-collaboration, we're not seeing what's happening as we fail to collaborate. So throw it in the chat, guys. What emotion comes to your mind when you hear the term working with others? What's the first emotion that comes to your mind? Okay. That emotion might be excitement. It might be. It might be. You might be someone who's really interested in working with other people. You might say, oh, I get excited, Samuel, when I hear about working with other people. When I think about working with other people, it might be excitement. That's cool. Congratulations. You're in the right zone. It might be caution. It might be distrust. You might be the person who says, no, you know what? The moment I hear about working with other people, I distrust. Whoa, 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 whoa. alarm bells start going off? I don't know. You tell me, what's your primary emotion that comes to mind? It might be opportunity. It might be, yes, you know what? I need that. Opportunity is available. It might be independence. No, I'm going to go it alone. I want to do it on my own. I want you to think about this, okay? For those of you who haven't thrown your answer in the chat, now's the time. Take advantage of that. Throw your answer in the chat. Before we go into the 5 wicked worries, I want you to already start unpacking and saying to yourself, you know what? I already realize when I think about working with other people, this is what comes to mind. When I think about working with other people, this is what bubbles up in me. When I think about working with other people, this is what's in my heart. Because if you don't know what's inside of your heart, unfortunately, you're going to find it difficult to stop. I'm going to say that again in case you need to pick up your pen. If you don't know what's already inside of your heart, you unfortunately will find it more difficult to start. So take this opportunity, utilize the chat, throw in the chat the emotion that came up for you when we asked this question. What comes to mind when you think about working with others? Now, with that being said, we're going to jump into the 5 wicked worries. We're going to go into the first one. And to get us started, I'm going to pull out the keys, because the first wicked worry that we're going to discuss is the worry that someone will steal your idea. If you've been a person who's ever said to yourself, someone's going to steal my idea, then you are suffering from the first wicked worry that can actually steal and prevent from you from actually having true wealth. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever kept a great idea to yourself because you were afraid that someone else would take it? You see, if that's you, if your answer to that question is yes, Samuel, I've been there, I've been that person, I've done that, let me tell you something. That's one of the most expensive fears in any human being's business. The fear that someone else will take what you've got is the fear that the victim has when they've experienced playing in school with the bully. And if you take that mentality, if you take that mindset into business, I can assure you that it's not going to serve you. Here's an example. In the Bible, let's go to John chapter 10, verse 10, so I can unpack this and make this clearer. In John chapter 10, verse 10, we see a powerful verse which gives us an interesting understanding. John chapter 10, verse 10 says something profound. This is what it says. The thief comes not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. But listen to this part. I am come that they might have life and they might have it more abundantly. You see, the thing that's profound here is if you and I have a mentality that someone's going to steal something from you or steal something from me, then we stop the opportunity for someone with life to come through for you or to come through for me. Yes, the thief comes with only one agenda, to steal, kill, and destroy. But there's another who comes with life and life more abundantly, and it's the same 5 that we open up to give a gift, which is the same 5 we need to keep open so we can receive our gift. That's one of the most expensive fears in business. It's to sit there and to say, oh, but someone's going to steal my opportunity. Oh, but someone's going to steal my idea from me. Oh, but someone's not going to allow me to make it because the thing that I have, someone else is going to take it. You see, what you need to understand is that most of us have been plagued with what I call the plagiarism principle. And the plagiarism principle is very simple. It's just the conceptual idea that in the school system we're taught, if you collaborate, then you commit a crime. See, we're taught that in school, but what's interesting is that very same rule is the rule that makes people wealthy outside of school. And this is why I often say to people, you can't use school tactics to achieve non-school outcomes. Financial freedom, I often speak about it. is a non-school outcome. They don't talk about that in school. But some people are tempted to use saving, which is something they talk about in school, to allow you to financially rule. As I often say, you cannot use school tactics to achieve non-school outcomes. So you and I have to overcome the plagiarism principle. We have to overcome that thing within us that makes us frightened or afraid to collaborate. That makes us feel like, oh, if I share my ideas with someone else, then they're going to take those ideas and use them for themselves. And we have to get to a place where we understand that there needs to be grace. There needs to be an open hand in order for us to allow true value to land. Now, there's a few things we have to understand. The first thing is that our ideas are valuable. Yes, ideas are valuable. But ideas are only as valuable as the execution that comes along with them. So if you have an idea, but you don't ever execute your idea, then your idea is actually not really valuable here. And this is something that many of us sometimes struggle with, because we don't get to that place in our mind when we start to realize, hold on a minute, yes, I love my ideas. Yes, I've got some great ideas. Yes, my ideas might be game changing. But the reality is, if I don't ever execute on those ideas, then those ideas are not as valuable as I believe or perceive them to be. And in order for me to make those ideas more valuable, sometimes I have to collaborate with people who are more willing to execute on those ideas. You see, what most people don't realize is that relationship literally multiplies value. Samuel, what do you mean relationship multiplies value? Well, if ideas are valuable and execution creates value, then when the two of them come together, both ideas with execution, you now have relationship, which is ultimately multiplying the value. And this is what so many people miss. So many people don't bring these things together. And the moment you fail to bring these things together is the very same moment that you're choosing to lose. You're choosing to not say, hold on a minute, I know I've got some great ideas. I know these people can come with some great execution. And if we put it together through relationship, we can multiply the value that we're creating. Okay? You see, many people try to protect their ideas. You don't have to protect your ideas if you're working with the right people who will help you to execute on those ideas. Don't be someone who's protecting ideas while neglecting execution. Because if you protect your ideas and neglect your execution, you will not receive the value or the contribution. So let me break down a concept for you that's going to be super helpful to see exactly how this all works. Because this is what you should be looking to get working for you once you understand how this all works. Let's see if we can get the board up and running for this. Let's go. Okay, there's a few pieces that come to play, and we're going to outline each and every one of them. The first one is, yes, we start off with an idea. But what we have to understand is ideas in and of themselves are not the success. That idea has to be connected with action. So the next time you have a great idea, the next time you have a good idea, ask yourself, how am I going to be able to execute and act upon this idea? That answer to the question is going to be key to your success. It's going to be key to you extrapolating value from your situation. How am I going to actually act upon this idea? Because if you've got a great idea and you need, for example, seed capital, but you don't have seed capital, then you're going to take longer to execute on the idea. If you take longer to execute on the idea is not going to be as valuable for you. So ideas need action. Someone write in the chat the word action. Now, once you have action with the idea, you can step into execution. You can start to put the idea to work. You can start to see how the idea actually works. But there is two things that are still necessary. One thing is what we discussed prior, which is trust. Trust has to fuel the execution. Otherwise, you won't have collaboration. But when you take an idea and you fuse that idea with action, and you allow the idea and the action to produce execution, that's when you can take advantage of the trust you had, and all of this ultimately produces wealth. This is what you're looking for. You're looking for the worry to be disseminated so that the wealth can literally be distributed. But in order for the wealth to be distributed, you have to tap into the trust. You have to tap into execution. You have to tap into action. And that's how you literally manifest your idea. Gone are the days of having great ideas and keeping them in your head, catching cobwebs and thinking they're going to produce wealth. It can't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. It won't happen like that. So the key is to make a change. How do you make the change? Start to collaborate. How do you make the change? Find people you trust. How do you collaborate? Find people you're willing to work with and get to work. Let the work start to work for you so you can literally start to break through. You see, let me share this because hopefully someone will resonate with this and know because they've gone through something similar. A number of years ago, I had this idea for a book, okay? I still have the idea because no one can write what you have in your mind, right? And this book was on the topic of growth. I strongly believe like God gave me this conceptual idea to share with the world. And as I had this idea in my mind to write this book about growth, I was just mulling it over. I didn't really share it with too many people. I shared it with the odd person, but I never really shared it expressly. I never went around and said, hey guys, I've got this idea to write this book on growth, etc., 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 etc. I had this idea for years, okay? Years. Not a day, not two, not a week, not a month. I had this idea for years. And then one day, one of my favorite authors, right? Literally one of my favorite authors, Dr. John C. Maxwell, he releases a book on the topic of growth. After years of him writing on the primary topic of leadership, I've been reading, John C. Maxwell has over 60 books he's published. I've been reading his books from when I was the age of 19. One of his books was the first book I read when I started to get serious with my life. It's a book called Today Matters. I think it was 2005 when I read that book, 21 years ago. I read that book literally, ferociously, jumped into the book and started looking at how to change my life. The book was called Today Matters. And although he has written 60 books, all his books were on the topic of leadership. So when I had this idea years ago, I never thought in my wildest dreams that one of my favorite authors would start writing on a topic that I thought I would write on. So I was mulling the idea over. And then, what do you know? I didn't write the book. But Dr. John C. Maxwell releases a book on the topic of growth. I don't know if you understand how that made me feel. That made me feel so broken. Because at the time I was like, no, but he's actually a good author. He's actually a great author. He actually is a prolific author. He writes so many books. How am I ever now going to be able to write on that topic now that he's written on it? It felt like such a setback to me. Just to see that the idea I had, because I hadn't acted on it, because I hadn't executed it, because I didn't have trust, sometimes even within myself, that I didn't allow that particular idea to become part of my wealth. Let me tell you the difference. The difference is Dr. Maxwell built consistent execution, where at that time of my life, I had built consistent concern. That's the difference that most people don't catch. Whilst you and I are worried about sharing an idea, there are other people trying to shovel as many ideas as they can out of here. You can flip the switch and start to build consistent execution instead of living in a place of perpetual consistent concern. Stop being concerned about whether or not you've got what it takes. Stop being concerned about whether or not the thing's gonna stay fixed or it's gonna break. Start realizing that action and execution are inevitable for you to allow the worry to disseminate and the wealth to start to distribute. Here's an action step I want you to take to help you. I want you to write down this particular question. The question is, what opportunity have you delayed because you were trying to protect an idea instead of pursuing that idea? Take your pen, jump in your journal, and start to ferociously write your answer to that question. Because as you answer that question, what's going to happen is you're going to release, you're going to unlock yourself into a higher level of your own wealth. You're going to allow yourself to develop at a level you haven't developed before by literally simply answering the question, what opportunity have you delayed because you were attempting to protect an idea instead of actually pursuing the idea? Now, I want to give you a reminder because I want you to remember this as you go forward. And if you've got your notepad, your iPad, your tablet, your stylus, your pen, paper, and everything you need in order to succeed, I want you to write this down. And that is, ideas are infinite and relationships are meant to be intimate. Ideas are infinite and relationships are meant to be intimate. When you remember that concept, when you remember that phrase, when you remember that quote, ideas are infinite and relationships are meant to be intimate, guess what's going to happen? Things are going to change for you. Because you're going to stop worrying about what if someone steals my idea, and you're going to start to mine and dig to shovel as many ideas to come out of here. The first worry that keeps people lacking in their wealth is worrying other people will steal their ideas. Don't be that person anymore. Comment the word execute in the comments so I know that this message resonated with you. So I know that this message is something you're going to do something about. So I know that you are going to change how you've been moving around. Let's see what's going on in the comments, guys. Okay? Comment the word execute. Because if you've been waiting for the perfect time, here's the truth. The perfect time is never going to come. And what you can do instead of waiting for the perfect time anymore is you can start to focus on now. Someone write in the chat the word now. And as you start to focus on now, guess what's going to happen? Everything's going to change for you. Because that first worry is no longer going to be the worry you're going to be worried about. You're no longer going to be the person saying, oh, but what if someone steals my idea? Instead, you're going to be the person who's going 100 miles per hour with multiple ideas. Let me tell you one of the secrets that I learned. Real game changer for me. When I discovered what it says in the Bible, when it says, if you're faithful with little, I'd make you ruler over much. Let me tell you how that helped me. It helped me start to realize that if I'm faithful with a small idea, I end up with more ideas. But some of us, we're struggling with the small idea. That's why we're not ending up with more ideas. So I hope this helps you. Let's go into wicked worry number 2. Number 2, the second wicked worry that is affecting your wealth is the worry that if I succeed, people will change. If I succeed, people will change. This is the thought process I have seen so many people have. If I succeed, all these people are just going to change. Well, sometimes the fear for people isn't actually in them failing. It's actually in them becoming different. Sometimes people are actually afraid that if they succeed, if they become different, then other people are going to become different. And it's obvious, if it hasn't been obvious, that success changes relationships. But guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with success changing your relationships. There's nothing wrong with success helping you level up. Success is supposed to change relationships because as you succeed, you end up having more things that you need, and that will place you in different places. So as a result, you're going to need new things, new caliber of connection. And when you need a new caliber of connection, obviously the people around you are going to change. Success changes relationships, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't be stuck in the worry that if you succeed, people will change. It's okay. You see, one of the things they don't teach us in school is that some friendships won't survive your growth. And that's not always a tragedy. Sometimes that's literally terrific. Sometimes that's what you need in order to further your process of being able to succeed. Sometimes we need the friendships to wither away because we've got to a new level, because we've leveled up to a new dimension. You see, it's not always a tragedy for relationships to not survive growth. Sometimes it's just a transition. And when that transition takes place, don't be someone who's trying to pull back to your old you just so you can keep the old friends around you. That transition is a transition that we should all desire. It's a transition that is healthily warranted. I'm going to share this with you from the Bible, 1 Corinthians, okay? This is how I started to understand about the transient relationships that can occur sometimes, okay? Not all times. There are some relationships that are steadfast and immovable, right? But there are some relationships that are for a season. Now, let's dig into this. 1 Corinthians, I'm reading chapter 13, verse 11. This is Paul talking. He says something so profound. He says, when I was a child, okay, certain stage of life, I spake as a child. I used to talk like a child. I understood as a child. I had thoughts like a child. I thought as a child. He had thoughts as a child. Why? He was a child. Let's go further. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. What is this saying? This is not saying all the friends you made as a child, you will not keep as an adult. This is not saying that. This is saying when you operate at one level, everything emanates from that level. If you operate from the level, for example, as a child, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have thoughts as a child. You're going to have understanding as a child. You're going to speak as a child. Why? Because you're at that level. But here's the thing that's beautiful. When you transition to a new level, you don't stay stuck at that level. So if you're being plagued by the worry that people are going to change when you succeed, I'm here to tell you something. It's okay, because you're going to transition anyway. You are going to grow. And in your growth, good things happen. And one of them is the transition of relationships. Let me show you what that can look like. For most people, what that should look like is a process of growth. And as you grow and develop and become more and have more, you actually implement a process of change. You start becoming someone more than you used to be. But here's where people get stuck. Because the next thing that shows up with growth and change is resistance. Resistance starts to come in between you and the thing you're attempting to achieve. Resistance always shows up when there's growth and when there's change. In the book of Genesis, the Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's the first verse. And what's the second verse? And the earth was void and without form. Resistance. See, some of us aren't ready for this. Some of us think all growth is smooth sailing. Some of us think all change is smooth sailing. Some of us haven't realized growth and change is where we start to feel like we're going to go off the railing. True growth and true change always fosters resistance. But here's the beautiful thing. If you will push past the resistance, you end up with a new level of alignment. You end up on a new level. You end up at a new height. You end up becoming someone that other people can't even now keep in sight. Because you've taken advantage of the opportunity to grow. You've taken advantage of the opportunity to have change. Let me share with you the literal formula for transformation so you can see how this works, because most people don't even have a clue how this works. Let's take, for example, a caterpillar. Okay? Little caterpillar. And please excuse me, because my name's Samuel Ican, we're not Picasso, all right? So don't expect a world-class art class right now. So a caterpillar starts a journey. And we know what the caterpillar wants to do. It wants to transform into a beautiful butterfly. We all know that. But before the caterpillar can ever become a butterfly, specific things have to happen. 3 to be exact. Watch this. The first thing that has to happen for the caterpillar, it has to decide to form a shell. We call this a cocoon, okay? It forms a shell. It has to go into this incubatory stage. What is that? Growth, development. It forms a shell. Now, what happens when it forms a shell is something most people are not willing to do. It's okay, but I'm going to teach it to you. When the caterpillar forms a shell, it then begins to fragment itself. It literally tears off every part of it that isn't conducive to where it's going, to butterfly lifestyle. It tears off every piece, every part, every component that has nothing to do with being a butterfly. And in the same process, as the imaginal discs start to ruminate inside of the cocoon, for those of you who don't know what imaginal discs are, they are the scientific components and particles that become the pieces the caterpillar needs to succeed as a butterfly. It literally transforms from fragmenting itself, from tearing off of itself the pieces it doesn't need in order to succeed, and then the imaginal discs start to manifest the pieces it needs in order to succeed. So the caterpillar goes through these stages of transformation. And guess what? When it's fragmenting itself, there's resistance. This is what most of us struggle with. We don't want any resistance. We see resistance and we think, what have I done? Oh, I'm gonna go back. I don't want to grow anymore. Let me tell you something. There's only one way out of that cocoon. And the only way out of that cocoon is ultimately to become what you and I see as the beauty called the butterfly. So yes, the cocoon is the place where it fragments itself. The caterpillar has to be the one that forms a shell, but ultimately, after it decides to form a shell, after it begins to fragment itself, it can then become its future self. This can only happen because the butterfly decided to go on this journey. This can only happen because the butterfly trusted in itself enough to say it will go on the journey of fragmenting itself, of creating that shell, forming that shell, so it can ultimately become its future self. This is something we have to realize. Resistance is a part of the process. Resistance is a key to growth. Resistance is the answer you've actually been looking for. It's a sign that you're on the right path. It's a sign that things are working. When you start seeing resistance on your journey, don't turn back, press in. Because this is the thing that's going to assist you to understand on your journey that you're doing things the right way. You've got resistance. That should be an indication to you, yes, it's time to play. So as you go on this process, as you recognize this journey, as you tap into growth, and growth introduces you to change, and change introduces you to resistance, be the person who says, I'm going to keep going until I get my new alignment. Go where you're celebrated, and not only where you're tolerated. And once you understand that idea, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be able to advance and multiply. So I want you to take this opportunity, maybe break out your journal, break out your pen, and write this question down. When in your life have you been celebrated, and by who? Who celebrated your growth? And then on the other side, who's merely tolerated your growth? Take an opportunity, get the pen and papers out, start writing down the answers to that question. Actually, for yourself, for the first time, evaluate who in your life has celebrated your growth and who in your life has only merely tolerated your growth. That's going to assist you to move further faster in your future. Now, I want you to remember that transformation breeds celebration. When we see that butterfly flying, guess what? We get excited. We love the beauty of the butterfly. We don't necessarily pay attention to the caterpillar, but we love the beauty of the butterfly. So what does that teach us? It teaches us that transformation breeds celebration. But stagnation literally fosters hesitation. Because when we see that caterpillar, we're not up in arms, celebrating and clapping and applauding because the caterpillar has come to play. Instead, we hesitate because there's really nothing else for us to say. So please remember, transformation breeds celebration, whilst stagnation only ever fosters hesitation. I want you to comment the word grow in the comments if something that I've shared with you here has resonated with you. And I want you to remember, as I often say, small keys open big doors. Let this message today help you as you overcome this worry and move further faster in a hurry. Let's see in the comments what you guys are saying. Grow, okay? Throw in the chat the word grow if this is resonating with you. If you're recognizing, hold on, Samuel, you know what? You're speaking to me. I've been that person. I've been worried about people changing if I level up. I've been concerned that if I level up, you know what? People around me are going to change. People are going to be different. If that's you, just write the word me in the chat or write the word grow in the chat. Let's go. Let's use this opportunity to jump into worry number 3. Let's use the key to jump into worry number 3. The third wicked worry. The third wicked worry is when you say to yourself, nobody can do it as well as me. I don't know if you've been in that place in your life before, where you've basically said to yourself, nobody can do this as well as me. I'm going to have to do it all because no one can do it like me. Did you know that perfectionism often disguises itself as excellence? Because when we start to realize that our actual perfectionism might just be hiding behind the door of excellence, we start to realize that we're not as perfect as we thought we were. We start to realize that we're not as excellent as we thought we were. What would happen if you had to teach you how to walk? You see, that's a question I often ask myself. I think to myself, Samuel, what would happen if you had to teach you how to walk when you were 0 years old or 1 year old? What would happen? Let me ask you another question. What would happen if you had to teach you how to talk when you were 1 year old or 2 years old? Just imagine it right now. A world where there was no one else there, a world where no one else was assisting you to learn how to walk, no one else was assisting you to learn how to talk. What would happen? Would you succeed? Would you have everything you need? You see, one of the things that's so powerful is I always think about this, like no one taught about the kingdom of God as powerful as the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe. I would buy his books. I'd read his book. I'd become an insatiable addict of personal development around this conceptual idea of the kingdom of God. Because when I'd hear him teach, when I'd see him break concepts down, when I'd jump into his book and I'd read books like Rediscovering the Kingdom, like The Burden of Freedom, there's so many books that like I'd jump into these books and I'd be like, no one could do it like him. But let me tell you why I started to understand why it was so powerful that he was doing what he was doing the way he was doing it. I'm going to share it with you. Psalm 139 verse 14. There you go. I mixed the whole thing in right there. Okay. Psalm 139 verse 14. I'm going to share with you how it dawned upon me one day that the power that I could see when I'd see someone great like the late great Dr. Miles Monroe teaching on the concept and topic of kingdom, why it meant so much. Let me show you why. Psalm 139. I'm going to read verse 14. Watch this. Psalm 139 verse 14. It says, I will praise you. This is David speaking to God. I will praise you, God. Why? Listen to this. For I am fearfully, wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works. And that is something that my soul knows really well. You see, most people do not understand that when we hide perfectionism behind what we think is excellence, and we tell ourselves, oh, I can't collaborate with other people because no one's going to do it like me. We don't realize what we're actually saying. We're actually saying God doesn't make people perfect. We're saying God doesn't know what he's doing when he makes people, even though David said in Psalm 139 verse 14, I will praise you, O Lord, because I recognize that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. How marvelous are your works. And this is something my insides, my soul, my thinker, my feeler, my chooser, my thoughts, my feelings, my choices know very well. Well, if you know that very well about yourself, guess what you'll know about someone else? You'll know you can tap into the spirit of delegation. You'll know you'll be able to tap into the art of delegation. You'll know you'll be able to tap into the science of delegation, because you won't be focused on your own perfection. You won't be thinking every single day just about the single way that you do it. Instead, you'll be saying, no, I recognize that God has fearfully and wonderfully made other people to collaborate with me. You'll release the pride of only I, only I, only I. And instead, you'll open up your heart to the God in the sky and realize that I can collaborate with other people, and realize that I can tap into delegation, and realize instead of focusing on being in control, I can trigger the mechanism that is called trust. You see, there is a worry that is stealing people's wealth, and this worry is deeply demonic, and that worry is no one can do it like me. That worry is the worry of perfectionism, masked as excellence, telling yourself that no one can do it like you. This is actually the worry that causes most business owners to become bottlenecks. Imagine that you woke up in the morning and said you're going to start a business. 5 years down the line, you say to yourself, you're in business. But what you're actually in is the business of being a bottleneck. And the reason you're in the business of being a bottleneck is because you invest all your time, which shouldn't only be mine, in keeping to yourself instead of collaborating with someone else. I'm going to share something. Yes, you are great. Psalm 139 verse 14 just told us that you are great. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. However, there is someone else who is as great at that thing that you are just not even good at. So imagine what would happen if you recognized, as great as I am, there's someone who's greater than I am at something that I'm not even good at. That is where delegation comes in. Why don't you delegate that thing so you can celebrate that thing? Why don't you say to yourself, I'm not going to keep allowing perfectionism to keep me in a trap that I can't get out of. I don't want to be imprisoned in disorder. Let me be in freedom and in order. You are great. However, there is someone who is greater at that thing that you're not even good at. And if you desire to work with that person, if you tap into delegating to that person, everything can start to change for you. This is why most people who want to be affluent, who want to be successful, who want to be free, are finding it difficult to break free, because they're attempting to do it all on their own. And they're realizing they still can't bring the bacon home, or the wealth, or whatever you want to call it. Now, let me give you a framework to help you with this, okay? Because this is going to show you how to literally put things in place to help you, right? The first thing is this: don't be too focused on the box of control. This is the issue for most people. Most people are stuck in the box. You need to look outside of the box. Don't try to control everything. Instead of focusing on control, consider the box of capacity. Okay? Ask yourself more often, what is my desired capacity? Ask yourself more often, what is my desired capacity? How much capacity do I desire to invest into this business? How much capacity do I require being invested into this business? Now, here's the beautiful thing. When you don't focus on control, but instead you focus on capacity, you get the ability to then trigger the art of delegation. This is what allows you to delegate to other people. This is what allows you to start to say to other people, hey, I've got this opportunity. We could collaborate on this. Hey, how would you feel about you executing this on my behalf? Hey, how would you feel about you partnering with me on this process? Hey, how would you feel about us working together on this endeavor? This all takes place when you get out of perfectionism and instead you tap into partnership and you relinquish this worry that is so wicked and is stealing people's wealth. Now, let me tell you what ultimately happens when you forego control and tap into capacity so you can start to engage in delegation. You start to get, my good friend, which is called freedom. This is what creates freedom in business. This is what creates freedom in wealth creation. This is what creates freedom in order for you to have more, in order for you to do more, so you can ultimately become more. Freedom comes from this simple process of foregoing control in an embrace of capacity so you can start to tap into delegation, and freedom can no longer have procrastination. Here's your action step. I want you to take out your journal and I want you to write this specific question. What am I still doing that someone else could do? What am I still doing that someone else could do? I want you to start to unpack your answer to that question in your journal and start to discover how you can uncover the work that you can delegate so you can stop having to procrastinate because you're telling yourself you're the only one who can do it. Now, I want you to remember that we are all called to a thing, and nobody is called to everything. Comment the word release in the comments so I know that this resonates with you and I know that something I've shared here is going to be able to help you through. Let's go. Let's see, guys. Let's see if you guys are here. Comment the word release if this is making sense to you. All right? We've got the comments popping off right now. Telia says, Telia, what stood out to you? What was the big for you? I love that. I love that. Telia, also, thank you for the donations. For those of you who are throwing in gifts, donations, we appreciate you. Thank you ever so much. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And Telia, also, thank you for liking the live. We appreciate you for liking the live. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, I think we got the live emojis active on today's session. So Matthew, I'm sure your emoji showed up on screen when you threw that in. Matthew, thank you ever so much for the energy. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, if you guys are ready, you're ready for us to go into the Wicked Worry number 4. If you're ready for Wicked Worry number 4, someone throw the number 4 in the chat and we can unlock that. If you guys are ready, throw the number 4 in the chat and we will unlock that. Wicked Worry number 4, okay? And this is the one that keeps so many people's doors closed, doors of wealth, doors of health, doors of relationships, okay? Wicked Worry number 4. So let's jump in. Wicked Worry number 4. If I help others, they'll get ahead of me. This is the worry that I've seen so many people have and literally stop them from achieving levels of success and wealth. Why would you ever think to yourself, if I help others, they'll get ahead of me? Let me tell you something. If you help others, they will get ahead. Whether they'll get ahead of you or not is up to you. That's determined by what you're going to do. So we should stop thinking, if I help others, they'll get ahead of me. We don't need to think like that. I'll tell you why we shouldn't think like that. Scarcity is the one that whispers, if they win, you lose. Abundance says, on the other hand, if we grow together, all of us benefit. And this is the challenge we have today. The real challenge is not if I help other people, they're going to get ahead of me. The real challenge is, are you thinking with abundance or are you thinking with scarcity? You see, kingdom economics is so different to natural economics. You see, the Bible tells us this. It says, if one can chase 1,000, two have the ability to put 10,000 to flight. Let's go there. Deuteronomy 32. Okay? Because I don't want anyone to ever say, hey, Samuel, you said this verse in the Bible, but I've never found it before, right? Let's read it. Deuteronomy 32, verse 30. How should one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight? Except their rock had sold them and the Lord had shut them up. We see a principle here, a principle that I think we should make in our lives much more clear. Because the same thing applies as a business application, even though it's not necessarily a spiritual interpretation. Let me give you this business application. You're an individual. You're doing business. In your business, you happen to produce some results. The results you produce are results of 1,000. Let's say that's dollars. Let's say that's pounds. Let's say that's euro. Okay? So that's what you're able to produce. One can produce 1,000. But then you heard this from Samuel, I can win. Apparently, according to Deuteronomy, two can maximize the win. So you say, hold on a minute, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go partner with someone. And you go partner with someone. So it's no longer one, it's now the two. And now it's two of you. You go put some output together out, collaborative output, and you are able to produce 10,000. That might be dollars. That could be pounds. That could be euros. Now, here's the question, okay? Here's the question to really think about. If on your own you produce 1,000, but with a partner you produce 10,000, the question is, if each of you are taking an equal share, how much do you produce now? Well, that's obvious. 5,000 for the partner and 5,000 for you. Samuel, what are you saying? I'm saying that incremental partnerships produce exponential results. I've been teaching this to my coaching clients for years because when I discovered this changed my life. I'll say it again in case you hadn't picked up your pen. Incremental partnerships produce exponential results. The Bible tells us if one can put 1,000 to flight, two can chase 10,000. And an equal share of the 10,000 is 5,000 each, which is 5 times more than you can do on your own. You see, most people don't understand how value creation actually works. This is why it would be of value to you to take a moment or two and sit back and start to figure out for yourself why you've attempted to do so many things on your own. Why you've attempted to say, I'm going to be the only one. If it's going to be, it's up to me, without any collaboration in your industry. Stop thinking if you help others, they'll get ahead of you. And start realizing that by incremental partnerships, you get to produce exponential results. You see, wealth is made via value creation. And value creation is the key for us to produce new results. Let me show you what I mean. I've often said this. Most people desire to have wealth. But what they don't realize is what wealth is. Wealth is V plus V. Take the V, add the V, you finally get wealth for you and me. Samuel, what's the V and what's the V? The first V is value. If you have value and you can add that value to some form of a vehicle, you are able to produce wealth. Most people struggle to take their value and attach it to another vehicle. But there are people out there who struggle to take their vehicle and attach it to value. And that becomes an opening for everyone to create wealth. You take your value, find someone with a vehicle and connect the two, and you produce wealth. Or you take your vehicle, add it with someone who's got value, connect the two, and you produce wealth. This is the key to partnership. The key that most people literally ignore because they don't realize how valuable it is to them. If you're someone who's ever struggled in your life with producing wealth at an astronomical tier or at an astronomical result, I'm here to tell you it's simple. Just start to ask yourself, am I someone who's got a vehicle or am I someone who's got value? And by the time, and by virtue of me saying the word vehicle, I'm not talking about a car. I'm not talking about you drive an Aston Martin. I'm not talking about you drive a Maserati. I'm not talking about you got a Porsche Panamera. That's not the vehicle I'm talking about. A vehicle may be an outlet. A vehicle may be a form of distribution. Books are sold through bookstores. The store is the vehicle. The book is the value. And once you start to understand that a vehicle with no value equals no wealth, but equally value with no vehicle equals no wealth, guess what will happen? You'll start to look for the counterpart for yourself. Partnership. Now, let me share with you one of the most valuable ingredients that make partnership work, because most people miss this, and this is why it doesn't work. The most valuable vehicle to make partnerships work is an ingredient called generosity. Generosity. Because most people think, oh, I'm just going to go into partnership, and because I've got the value, it's just going to work for me. Or I'm just going to go into partnership, and because I've got the vehicle, it's going to work for me. It doesn't work like that. Follow me to Matthew chapter 7. I'll show you what I mean. In the Bible, Matthew chapter 7, it's called the golden rule, okay? This verse has got so far that people have taken it out of the Bible and called it the golden rule. It's not the golden rule. It's a verse in the Bible, Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. Let's read it. Matthew 7, verse 12, it says, therefore, all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. You see, I'm going to share something with you. The reason I create this kind of content is because of Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. It's not because I want to. It's not because I desire to jump in front of a camera and start adding value. I'm going to tell you the real truth from the bottom of my heart. It's because I think to myself, if I can be someone who helps people create wealth so that their 11-year-old and 13-year-old son or daughter doesn't end up going to commit crime and doesn't have to go into prison and spend time, I would have loved for someone to have done that for me. This is the reason why I create this content. This is the reason why I sit in front of the camera and add value like this. It's not because, oh, I think it's a great idea. No, it's because I'm doing unto others what I wish someone would have done for me. Matthew 7:12 gives you the cheat code. Most people call it the golden rule. Let me tell you what it tells you. It tells you to be generous. Because if you're generous with people, treating people how you desire those people to treat you, guess what happens? Partnership begins to work. Here's your action step. I want you to ask yourself, who could you intentionally help this week without expecting anything, a single thing in return? When I create this content, I'm not looking for anything in return, but guess what? I'm still going to show up. I want you to take the same responsibility yourself in your life right now. And just ask yourself, who is it that I could intentionally help this week without expecting anything in return from them? Now, I want you to remember something. I want you to remember that my service to others is my key to my greatness. And as long as you remember that, write that down, keep that in your journal, keep that close. As long as you remember that, you will open up the doors of abundance in your life. Take this opportunity, write the word abundance in the comments, and let me know that this is resonating with you as we're breaking through. Let's go. Let me see it, guys. Let me see the word abundance in the comments. Let me know that you guys are resonating with this. Let me know that you guys are saying to yourself, you know what, Samuel, you've got it. It's true. I don't need to be that person who's telling myself that if I help someone else, they're going to get ahead of me. But I can hear what you're saying, Samuel. I'm actually taking it on board. And you know what? I'm going to be the person who has the abundance mindset, who looks forward to moving further faster. If that's you, just write the word abundance in the chat. Let me know that I'm with you. Let's go. Let's go. Anna0234 says abundance. I agree wholeheartedly. Let's go. Who else is in that? Guys, look, let me go see the people in the back. For those of you in the back, don't be afraid. Don't hide in the back. Let me know. Let's see the word abundance. Let's go. Abundance. Okay? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We've got one more wicked worry. We've got one more wicked worry. Let's go, guys. If you guys are ready for number 5, someone throw the number 5 in the chat. Anna says, I agree with you wholeheartedly with what you are saying. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, wicked worry number 5. If you guys are ready, throw the number 5 in the chat. Throw the number 5 in the chat. If there's a specific key takeaway you've had so far already, if there's something that really stood out to you in the session so far, feel free to throw it in the chat. Share it with me right now. Let's go. Before we jump into number 5, let's see what's really affecting your life. Let's see what you've heard that literally stood out to you and resonated with you, that made a mark that cannot be erased by the grace of God. Let's go. All right. And for those of you who are jumping in, if you're just jumping in, if this is the first time in a live with Samuel I Can Win, a great big welcome to you. It's a pleasure to be with you guys in the live. Feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. If you're on the red platform, become a part of the tribe. If you hear something in here that you think is super valuable, show the people out there that you care by hitting the button that says share. Feel free to follow. Okay, if you're on the black platform, feel free to hit the follow button, because the black platform is very interesting. If you don't follow, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, if the live gets cut off, you're going to be saying, oh, how did I connect with that guy? How can I connect with that guy or that content again? Guys, hit the follow button. Don't be a stranger. Hit the follow button straight away. All right, so let's do that, guys. Let's take this opportunity. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow, hit all the stuff you need to hit, and do what you need to do. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Anna throws a comment in. Sorry, half asleep other than partnership is everything share without expectation. All right, I love that. I love that. You got it, Anna. And Anna, also, thank you for following the host. You got it 100%. So the last wicked worry we shared, Anna, was the worry that if I help other people, they will get further ahead than me. And we spoke about generosity being a key in partnership inside of that worry, and we broke that worry down quite substantially. So powerful share, Anna. Your key takeaway was that partnership is key and help other people without expectation. I love that, Anna. Absolutely amazing. All right, and everyone else in the house, guys, if you haven't hit the follow, now's the time, hit the follow. If you haven't hit like, now's the time, hit like. Anna, thank you for your donation. We appreciate you. And for everyone else who's donated throughout this live, we appreciate you guys. All right, just like, comment, subscribe. There's no expectation here. We're just adding value. We're going through in this live the 5 wicked worries that are affecting your wealth. These worries, I have found, are affecting people's wealth in a profound way, and that's why we're breaking them all down today. If that's helpful for you, just write yes in the chat. If it's helpful for you, just write the word yes in the chat. If it's helpful for you, just write the word yes in the chat. Anna is on a roll, sending in the donuts, sending in the roses, sending in the heart me's. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, we appreciate you, Anna. Thank you for your benevolence and generosity. All right. So guys, if you guys are ready for wicked worry number 5, which is literally probably one of the worst worries out of all 5, I usually keep the best to last. If you're ready for wicked worry number 5, throw in the chat the number 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Let me see the number 5 in the chat as we jump into wicked worry number 5. Because wicked worry number 5 is, what if I trust the wrong person? This is something people are always, often asking themselves. What if I trust the wrong person? What if I trust the wrong person? Is one of the biggest worries I've seen people ask themselves throughout the years that I've been supporting people in these processes. Now, this might be the most expensive question you will ever ask. What if I trust the wrong person? Because a lot of us don't actually understand the underpinnings of that question. So let me ask you a second question to the question, what if I trust the wrong person? And that question is, what if you don't? What if you trust the right person? You see, 9 times out of 10 in our life, we go through processes, we go through pathways where we think to ourselves that all hell can break loose. But what if it can't? What if you literally can't trust the wrong person so much that it goes so wrong? And what if that opportunity to trust is actually your first opportunity to trust the right person? What would happen? You see, one of the things I think it would be a blessing for me to share with you is that trust isn't blind. No matter what you think inside of your mind, we all have to come to a day when we realize that trust isn't blind. Nobody trusts blindly. Why? Because trust is built. Trust is built through principles. Trust is built through observations. Trust is built through character. Trust is built through accountability. Trust is not blind. And the moment you discover that trust is not blind, you get to learn to differentiate the difference between wisdom and suspicion. You see, so often we spend our time being suspicious and not ever recognizing the thin line between having wisdom. There are telltale signs that you can observe that will give you a reason to not trust someone. There are character traits or flaws that we can observe that will give you an impetus to not trust someone. I shared earlier, and I'll share again, one of my character flaws is I'm addicted to personal development. I'm addicted. And guess what? That is some upsetting news to some people. But to other people, it makes them want to trust me even more. They're like, Samuel, you're willing to admit your flaw. That's the way what the world works. That's the way life works. Because trust isn't blind. There are principles you can use to determine whether you should trust somebody. There's accountability you can observe to determine whether you should trust somebody. My big ask of you today is to learn to differentiate the difference between wisdom and suspicion. Let me help you with this. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 3. Excuse me. This was one of my favorite verses in the Bible when I stumbled upon it, just because of how much it meant to me. I used to read this every day because of how it would reprogram my mind. I grew up committing crime as a young child from the age of 11. I ended up celebrating my 18th birthday in a prison cell. And when I was released, I said to myself, I have to change my life. And this verse of scripture was one of the verses that helped me to regain trust with people so I could collaborate, so I could partner. Because prior to that, committing crime, you don't trust anyone. You think everybody's out to get you. I used to think as a young child, everyone was out to get me. Until the words in this verse was able to saturate and soak my soul. Let me read it to you. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5-7. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Your own understanding of how things work, your own understanding of how people work, your own understanding on who to trust and who not to trust. Don't lean on your own understanding. Watch this, it goes deeper. Verse 6, in all your ways, not in 65%, not in 75%, not in 95%, in all 100% of your ways, what should you do? Acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5-7. I'll read verse 7 as well. It says, be not wise in your own eyes, fear the Lord and depart from evil. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5-7 changed my life because it helped me to start to realize I will never misplace my trust in a person if I first place my trust in the right person. We are implored to trust in the Lord. And guess what happens? He directs our path. He directs us to those we're supposed to trust. He directs us to those who we shouldn't trust and shows us don't trust them. This is why I shared that we should learn to differentiate between wisdom and suspicion. Because when we're trusting in the Lord, he's going to give us the wisdom on the things to observe, on the principles to practice, on the character traits to look out for, and on the accountability. This is why when I was released from prison at the age of 18 and everybody said to me, you know, you can't get a job ever again. You know, you're never going to get a job. I was able to secure a job in less than 2 months. Because at the age of 18, I didn't trust in what men were telling me. I trusted in the Lord, and He directed my path. Most people who know me now for teaching property investment, showing people how to make it rain like a hurricane, produce cash flow real fast, not slow. But most people don't know that my first full-time job that got me into property, working as an estate agent at the age of 18, 19, came at a time where everybody said to me, you'll never get a job. You can never get a job for the rest of your life. Let me share this with you. You think the same people that were telling me I would never get a job for the rest of my life when I was 18 years old would have thought, not only would I have gone to work in real estate and become an estate agent, not only would I have gone to study 4 degrees at some of the most prestigious universities in the whole world, you think they would have thought that I would have had a happily ever after before I even hit 25? No, because those people were banking on the fact that I could barely survive. But there's a God out there, according to Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 to 7, who doesn't want you to barely survive. He desires for you to thrive, and He's trying to take you out of the lane of strive. Let me share with you my 4C trust formula. The 4C trust formula is very simple. Start by focusing on character. Most people have trust issues because they have flaws in their own character and they hide them. You will eliminate your trust issues when you stop hiding the flaws you have in your character and you become open and transparent and an open book. When I read Proverbs chapter 3 verse 5, you know what it tells me? It tells me I can trust in Him and He'll direct my paths. So guess what? I can be the character that I am. I don't have to fake my character. I can be myself. And let me tell you what happens when you start being yourself. Oh Lord, this is the best part of life. When you start operating as your true, genuine character, you can start developing some real competence. You can start actually developing your skill set, your tool set, your mindset. You can start tapping into hindsight and insight and foresight and living with oversight. Because you've said to yourself, hold on a minute, I can actually see who I really am. So I can see where I need to develop. I can see where I'm actually dropping the ball. I can see where I can get better. I can see where I can get sharper. I can see where I can get faster, and everything can start to change for you. But it doesn't stop there. Because the beautiful thing about when you have competence is you get to instill consistency. You get to consistently be who you're supposed to be with consistency. So it doesn't just stop with character. You build upon the character with levels of competence. And you don't just stop showing you're competent. You start to trigger into levels of consistency. And this is when, after triggering consistency, you and other people can begin to have confidence. Imagine what it's like to other people when they look at you and they can say, you know what, I've observed this individual's character for X years long. They're the kind of person I want to partner with. Imagine what it feels like when people around you and surround you and say, you know what, I've observed this individual's competence. I've seen how wise she is. I've seen how she's astute. I see how she applies herself. I see how she doesn't make excuses. I see how she gets stuff done. Imagine what life would be like when people start to recognize your high level of competence. But even more so, imagine what things end up being like when people start to trigger and see your consistency. And they see that you're consistently doing it. You're consistently running through it. You're not the person who's going to run away tomorrow because of something that happens today. But you're someone who's determined to continue to go God's way. That consistency is what is going to ultimately open the doors of confidence. And you will have audiences, you will have echelons, you will have environments, you will have ecosystems desiring for you to be around because they'll know that your integrity is profound. This is the 4C trust formula. Work on your character. Develop your competence. Don't be afraid to become consistent so ultimately you can develop confidence. Confidence in yourself, and other people will have confidence in you also. Here's the action step I want you to ask this question. Do I avoid all partnerships because of one past disappointment? You see, there's many of us who are actually avoiding the single, simple partnership that could change our life astronomically. And a lot of the time, we're not avoiding it because we don't want it. We're avoiding it because of a past disappointment. We're avoiding it because of a past time where someone's character showed a flaw, or maybe even our own character showed a flaw. We're avoiding it because of a past time where someone showed themselves to not have competence, or maybe it was our own level of incompetence at the time. We're avoiding the future partnership because of a lack of consistency, maybe on the part of someone else, or maybe, if I'm going to be honest, on the part of ourselves. Or even worse, we're avoiding it because we lack confidence. We lack confidence because someone let us down in the past, or because our own lack of confidence seems to continually last. I want you to write that question in your journal. Do I avoid all of the partnerships that I've avoided because of one past disappointment that I've experienced? Now, I want you to remember this. Trust is a two-way street. And one of the things I've learned is that both lanes on that street lead to learning and lead to leverage. So there's no loss on the road of trust, because either way, you and I win. Comment the word discern in the comments if something I shared has resonated with you. And if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, this is the key. I see this. I see how I'm going to utilize this. I see how I'm going to be able to make this a part of my life going forward, so I can be more, I can do more, and ultimately I can have more. Let's go. All right, let's go. Good night, good night, good night, good night, guys. Good night, right? I love this. I love this. Absolutely amazing. Anna says, good night from the UK. Great listening to you. Take care. I will stay for 5. Thank you. I love that. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Anna, for sharing your comments. Thank you for sharing your comments. All right, and good night also. All right, so who's rocking with me? Let's go, guys. Let's go. We've gone through the 5 wicked worries that are affecting people's wealth. Okay? We've gone through the 5 wicked worries that are affecting people's wealth. If someone's got value, throw the word value in the chat. For those of you who are joining me, who are hiding in the back, I see you guys. Feel free to let me know in the comments below if you are rocking with me, because I've still got something very powerful to reveal to you. I've got the Wicked Wealth Whisper framework that I'm going to share with you guys. And then after I share with you guys the Wicked Wealth Whisper framework, we're then going to wrap up. So if someone's ready for the Wicked Wealth Whisper framework, just write I am in the chat. If someone's ready to jump into that, just write I am in the chat. Let me know if you guys are with it. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Don't be slow, don't be slow, don't be slow. Let's go. All right. All right. See those comments coming through. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I'm just catching up with the comments, guys, just to make sure that I'm not way behind. Way behind. All right. Cool, cool, cool. All right. We're good. So I think you guys are ready to jump into the framework, right? This is going to be helpful for you guys to apply and utilize in your life going forward. And by the grace of God, further, faster, as I usually say, moving faster, further, further, faster. All right. So here's the Wicked Wealth Whisper framework. It's something that I teach my high-level clients in order to help them move further, faster in their future. Now, if you think about the 5 wicked wealth worries that I've described, each of these 5 wicked wealth worries has an agenda, and its agenda is to whisper you out of your wealth. It's to cause you to not collaborate. It's to cause you to procrastinate. It's to cause you to not literally take it by the horns, but instead to hesitate. So I want you to see how this works with every single one of these worries, because the moment you get clearer on how these worries are attempting to whisper you out of your wealth, everything starts to change for you. So the way this works is it starts with this small worry at the beginning. Okay, that's where it starts. It starts with the worry. And the worry is usually very often a very small thing. It's a small concern, maybe one of the 5. But then that worry becomes a belief. And this is where people's lives start changing. There we go. The worry becomes a belief. Now, when the worry becomes a belief, this is where it becomes very, very difficult, because this becomes stuck in your mind. It's gone from a worry, let's call that a seed, into a belief, let's call that a tree. Now, we don't see the results yet. This is just still mind work. You're worried about something, the worry becomes a belief. Now it's a belief, it's still in your mind, it's still hidden up your sleeve. Then it's the next level, the next layer, where it starts to actually become real. That's because you now start making decisions based on those beliefs. So I want you to think about some of the decisions you've made. Decisions to go somewhere, decisions not to go somewhere, decisions to partner with someone, decisions not to partner with someone. I want you to understand that all of those decisions, whether they're incremental, whether they're exponential, those decisions are based on beliefs you've had. And all of those beliefs could be based upon specific erroneous worries that you've had. Now, here's something most people aren't aware of. Your decisions determine your actions. And your actions are having a direct result on your results. So if you're someone saying to yourself, I want to produce better results, I don't know why I'm struggling to produce the results I want. I don't know why I'm not achieving the level of wealth I desire. I don't know why, even though I've spent the last 25 years buying properties and building this portfolio, why it's still only making me £3,000 a month. If you're in that space, if you found yourself in that place, I'm here to tell you, it's not because you don't know how to run the race. It's actually because the worries foster into beliefs, the beliefs determine your decisions, and your decisions are having full infiltration on your actions, and your actions are the determining factors of your result. But it actually gets deeper than that. Because when your actions are having an impact in your results are forming your identity. Let me ask this question. Imagine having your whole identity formed from a worry that's not even real. Imagine having your whole identity formed off of a worry that's been sent to kill. A worry that has one agenda, and it's to eliminate your wealth and knock you off of your financial shelf. Because that's most people's lives today. Most people have a worry that has fostered from a seed into a tree of belief. Now that belief is determining each and every decision they are making. Now those decisions are having implications on their actions, and those actions are producing their results, and their results are reforming and forming their identity. Now, if we could stop there, it would be okay. But it goes one step deeper, and this is the reason why we cannot play. We have to take this seriously because of this next step. This next step is the reason why, for me, this is so profound. This next step is the reason why, for me, I have to share this stuff. Because your identity, my identity, our identity is determining every one of our legacies. What are you leaving? The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. The question is, what is that inheritance? What is that inheritance? Because if you've allowed in your life a worry or a seed of worry to foster and fester into a tree of belief, and you've allowed that tree of belief to start to infiltrate your decision making, and your decisions are now producing actions, and those actions are now filtering into results, and those results are forming your identity, and your identity is determining your legacy, then this means your next generation are going to be dealing with the same trees of the same beliefs that you didn't take the opportunity to chop down. This is why it's so important to understand how these whispers, these worries are so wickedly attempting to eliminate your wealth. And the moment you start to understand the wicked wealth whisper framework, you start to realize how this all works. The whisper of a worry becomes a belief. The belief starts to infiltrate your decisions. Your decisions start to impact your actions. Your actions start to infiltrate every single one of your results. And then your results are ultimately reshaping your identity, and your identity is determining your legacy. So your next generation are going to be dealing with the same procrastination. Your next generation are going to be dealing with the same hesitation unless you take it upon yourself to implement a level of transformation. You see, wealth is very often the visible result of invisible thinking. And most people who struggle to create wealth haven't realized that. Because if you haven't read books like The Millionaire Next Door, if you're not aware that the people you think are the wealthiest in the world a lot of the time are not the wealthiest in the world, what happens is you start to build up within yourself this mindset that wealth is something super visible, instead of realizing that wealth is often the visible expression of invisible thinking patterns. It's the fact you've eliminated those worries and you've not allowed them to become beliefs, and you've not allowed them to infiltrate your decisions, and you've not allowed them to have an impact on your actions or your results, and you've not allowed them to shape your identity, that you're able to truly leave a legacy. This is why it's so important. This is where people have to take a step back and start saying to themselves, why have I allowed my legacy to be diminished? Because of a worry that I've had. A worry that you can uproot. This is what I love about the Bible. The Bible literally teaches you this. It says in the New Testament that you should cast down every imagination that has an intention to exalt itself above the things that are good, above Christ. And sometimes we have to do that to rescue our own lives. We have to start asking ourselves, what are the worries that I've had that have created anxiety, that have attempted to take me off of the perch of wealth and put me in a corner where I can't protect or even fend for myself? You have the power to do that. You have the power to do that. So I want you to do something with me as we wrap up. I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now. Okay? Someone throw in the chat number 5. I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now and then ask yourself, what would your future self tell you to stop worrying about today? What is it that you have become consumed with that if the you of 5 years in the future, could come back and talk to you of today, they would say, sis, forget that. They would say, brother, forget that. They would tell you to stop worrying about that. What would your future self tell you to stop worrying about today? Take the time, take out your journal, take out your pen, write the question down, and go and attack that question. You see, sometimes you have to reflect rather than just react. And it's in the reflection that you're able to have true transformation from correction. Let's do a quick recap before we wrap up, or even we'll open up for questions if you guys want to ask any questions as well. I know a lot of you guys who are in now seem to be the quiet in the back folk. I don't know. Am I right? Am I wrong? Okay. So we'll do a recap and then we'll open it up for questions if you guys have questions before we wrap up for today. All right. Who's in the house? We got Forever Mess. Is that Forever MES? I can't see, the name's too small. I think Talia's still in the house. We've got quite a few people in the house. I can see quite a few names. All right. I can see quite a few names. So for those of you who are in the house, feel free to say something in the chat. Throw the word value in the chat if you've been getting value. Throw hey in the chat if you're in there. All right. Let me know that you guys are with me. All right. All right. So let's recap real quick. Recap number 1, worry. Number 1. Worry number 1 that we covered was protecting your ideas instead of executing them. That was worry number 1, protecting your ideas instead of executing them. Worry number 2 was fearing the relational cost of growth, being afraid about the relational cost of growth, thinking to yourself, hold on a minute, what's going to happen if I just don't invest in relationships? What's going to happen? Okay. And we gave that example. Imagine these two people, both investors, both equally intelligent. One of them focuses on partnerships. Okay. Brenda decided to focus on partnerships and collaborations, and the other person didn't. I think it was Albert. Did we call him Albert? What did we give him his name? A for, let me find him on the notes. A for, we had Brenda, and guys, you got me doing a lot of notes today. There we go. It was Albert. I said it, right? So I had Brenda and Albert, okay? So worry number 2 was fearing the relational cost of growth, okay? And we spoke about Albert, who wants to go it alone, and Brenda, who got relationships and partnerships. And we asked the question, if they're both equally talented, who's going to get better results? And we said it's going to be Brenda all day, every day, okay? Worry number 3 was refusing to delegate. Okay, being afraid to delegate, thinking if it's going to be, it has to be up to me, and thinking you have to do everything. Okay, it is if it's going to be, it's up to me, but you don't have to do everything. Okay, you were created great for a thing, not created for everything. Okay, worry number 4 was believing success is a limited resource. This is for those people who have the closed mindset or the limited mindset. We have to grow and have an abundance mindset. That's what's going to help us most. And then worry number 5 was allowing past disappointments to prevent our future partnerships. Please, 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 in order to take all of the keys, don't allow past disappointments to prevent future partnerships. All right, guys. We're going to open it up. What questions do you guys have? Feel free to throw in the chat what questions you guys have. As you guys get your questions ready, I'm going to ask you guys one more question on my side, but throw in the chat what questions do you guys have? What questions do you guys have? Throw it in the chat. Now, as you throw that in the chat, here's my last final question to you guys for this live, okay? My last question to you guys for this live is, which wicked worry has been quietly shipping and shaping your decisions away? Okay. I love that. All right. So that's the question for you today. Which wicked worry has been quietly shaping and shipping your decisions away? All right. We had all 5 of the wicked worries that we just recapped. So throw in the chat 1, if it's protecting your ideas instead of executing those ideas. 2, if it's the fear of the relational cost of growth, if it's 2. 3, if it's refusing to delegate. 4, if it's believing success is a limited resource. Or 5, if you believe the fear or worry of allowing past disappointments to prevent future partnerships has been affecting you. Throw your number in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Throw your number in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, I love this, right? The answers are coming in already. Throw your numbers in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Throw your numbers in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to look at these, guys. I'm going to look at these because I'm here to help. So I'm going to look at these as well. All right. As a good teacher, it would only be good if I actually look at these to assist you to move further faster in your future also. Okay. So we've got the comments coming through right now. For those of you who haven't commented, don't be scared. Don't be slow. Take the opportunity to let me know. All right. I love this one. This one was from Squared Shapes. Squared Shapes said something powerful. Squared Shapes, let me know in the chat what your name is so I can address you properly. Squared Shape says, number 1, wanting perfection. Okay, that was the first one we covered. Perfectionism, wanting perfection, number 1 from Squared Shapes. Thank you ever so much for letting us know. And guys, for those of you who aren't following, if you need to follow, because I'm going to forget otherwise, right? I think Fair Daz. Okay, Jay's in the house. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate you. Fadaz, let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but Fadaz decided to follow the host, which reminds me, because I always forget, so I'm going to say it again. Guys, if you hear anything that you like on this live, hit the like button. Side by side with that, if you're on the red platform, hit subscribe so you can become a part of the tribe. If you're on the black platform, remember to follow the host so you can take away the most of all of this content. If you're on the blue platform, you can become my friend so we can get this content being able to trend. If you are on the purple or the orange platform, I don't even know what they do over there anymore. So just do whatever you want to do over there. Follow me, etc., etc. I love you guys, whatever platform you're on, and I'm here to continue hoping your legacy lives on. All right, now, if today's session has helped you identify one of the invisible barriers that's been holding you back from your true cash flow, the next step isn't learning more. All right, this is what people think. Oh, it's learning. No. The next step is not learning more. Okay, it's actually applying the right principles with the right guidance. Okay, so if you'd like help to apply the principles, I want you to comment the word key or send me a message and literally include the word key in your message, and I'll share with you how you can continue on this journey, on this growth journey, okay, this transformational growth journey. All right, so throw the word key in the chat if something in today's session has resonated with you and you're saying, you know what, Samuel, I actually want to take that step. I want to start applying the right principles. I want to get the right guidance. Throw the word key in the chat or direct message me with the word key, and I look forward to meeting you in the direct messages. Let's go. All right, Jay said, where should I even start? Guys, we're going to open up the timer. We're going to take some questions. So if you have questions, now's the time. What questions do you have? Throw your questions in the chat. Now is the time to throw your questions in the chat. I'm going to set the timer up because, guys, I don't want to say throw your questions in the chat and just be here waiting for questions. So I always show the timer. For those of you who know, you know. And the timer will allow us to make sure that you guys throw your questions in promptly. So let's go for 5. I usually do 1, but let's go for 5. I'm going to give you guys more than enough time. All right. So you've got 5 minutes to throw your questions in, guys. I will answer all questions that come in within the 5 minutes. That's my commitment to you. All questions that are in before the end of the 5-minute timer, I will answer in the session. Let's go. For those of you who are just jumping in now, if you haven't hit follow, you know what to do. Hit the follow button. If you haven't hit subscribe, become a part of the tribe. If you haven't hit share, show the people out there that you truly care by hitting the button that says share. And I think that's everything. So my team don't tell me off for forgetting to say the stuff. All right, guys, now throw your questions in. What questions do you have? Let me see how I can help by answering any questions that you guys may have. And for those of you who are just jumping in, if you're just jumping in and you're like, Samuel, I just jumped in, like I missed the live, like what was you breaking down, right? We were talking about the 5 wicked worries that are attempting to steal your wealth, okay? The 5 wicked worries that are attempting to steal your wealth. I'm going to go through them again right now just to recap them all for you. Worry number 1 was protecting your ideas instead of executing them. When you're worried about, oh, is someone going to steal one of my ideas? Worry number 2 was fearing the relational cost of growth, okay? When you should be partnering with people. As I always teach, incremental partnerships create exponential results. But instead of partnering with people, you're hiding under a bushel. When the Bible says, let your light so shine before men. Instead of shining before men, you're hiding in front of them, okay? So don't let that be your story. That was worry number 2. Worry number 3 is refusing to delegate. When you say to yourself, oh no one can do it like me, I'm perfect. You're dealing with worry number 3, okay? That's when you don't delegate. You should delegate. Why? Because everybody was made for a thing. Nobody was made for everything, okay? So delegate. There's people that can do things you can't do better than you. Work with them. Incremental partnerships create exponential results. Worry number 4 was believing success is a limited resource. Okay, success is not limited. Success is unlimited. If you think about a seed goes in the ground and dies and produces a tree. But what does the tree do? The tree produces everything you need in order to succeed. The tree produces branches for birds to come and perch. The tree produces new fruit for us to eat. The tree produces inside of the fruit that we're going to consume more seed to plant more trees. Guys, just think about how God does things. There is no limitation to resources when it comes to success. Okay, that is a scam that the school system has tried to get us to believe, that there's limited resources. Oh, there's only 30 pence and there's 31 students. Guys, there are not only 30 pence. I hope somebody's catching this today. Somebody is holding on to your wealth today. Okay? And someone's waiting to pay it to you. But they're waiting for you to come through. Okay? And worry number 5 was allowing past disappointments to prevent your future partnerships. Some people have gone through stuff in the past that's causing them to no longer allow new partnerships to last. Don't be that person. Be someone who's assertive and says, you know what? I know what's happened in the past, but that's in the past. I'm leaving it in the past. I'm moving forward in my future so I can move further faster. Because small tweaks can literally take you to higher peaks. That deserves the key sound. Let's go. All right, guys, what questions do you have? Throw your questions in. Now's the time. We've got 1 minute and 15 seconds left. What questions do you have? 1 minute and 15 seconds left. What questions do you have? And for those of you who've been lurking in the back, it's a pleasure to have you guys, as a matter of fact. But let us know in the chat what questions you guys have. We have how long left? We've got literally 55 seconds for questions left. So let me know what questions you guys have before we wrap up for this one. All right. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Don't be slow, don't be slow, don't be slow. Because this is the key to get yourself some more cash flow. Let's go. All right, guys. It doesn't look like, or should I not be too presumptuous? Let me give you your 29 seconds. Let's see what's gonna happen in the 29. Let's go. All right. If you guys got value, throw the word value in the chat. If there was something that stood out to you, even if you just joined a moment or two ago, share in the live what stood out to you. What was your key takeaway? Let's get those key takeaways in. Let's get those key takeaways in. Throw your key takeaways in the chat. Let me know what stood out to you guys in this live. Let's go. All right. Key takeaways. What stood out to you? All right. Question timer's up. So let's get some key takeaways, guys. What stood out to you in this session? What stood out to you the most in this live? What did you hear that made you think, you know what, Samuel, I'm so glad I even got on here for a moment or two. Let me know in the chat. Let me know at that. Let me know in the chat. Okay. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right. Let's go. Let me check the comments real quick, just in case I'm missing anything. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right, guys, nobody's thrown any key takeaways in. I guess you guys didn't take anything of major value, so that's okay. That's okay. We'll try another day. We'll be back next Wednesday with more value on the live again, or maybe Thursday if it ends up being past the evening. With that being said, guys, a great big good day, an amazing God bless, and I look forward to seeing you at the top and not from the top. As you remember, as I often say, that small keys open up big doors, and I'll see you on the next one. Let's go. God bless.